Hey, YouTube, Rich McCall Sermons. How's it going? So, a question I get asked a lot, and I bet you a lot of breeders get asked this question, is what to do to start breeding ball pythons and getting into business, okay? I have 4.5 rules. 4.5 rules for how to get started in ball pythons. You ready for them? All right, here it goes. All right, so number one, in ball pythons, and you know what, let me preface this. This will work in probably breeding any animal whatsoever. Definitely this will work in any kind of reptile, whether it be ball pythons or tortoises or chondros or retics or whatever. This will all work. People will, chondro guys just went, no, ball pythons have nothing to do with chondros. Well, quite honestly, I think this will work. And comment below if you disagree. So, and by the way, I want you to like my video, please, pretty please. I'll show you a cool snake if you like my video. See? Oh yeah, look at that. Huh? Nice. Nice. All right, see, now you like my video, right? All right, so anyways, here goes. Number one, knowledge. You can't overdo knowledge. That means I want you to watch every YouTube video, every article you can find online. If you can stand going there, go on Facebook and read through the various Facebook ball python or whatever reptile you're into. Read through that stuff. And yes, there's going to be a lot of noise and crappy advice and stuff in there too. But you know what? If you start reading all of it, and the general themes, they'll show up. You'll learn them all. There are more sources than you think for this knowledge. So the obvious sources that everybody goes to right now is YouTube videos and various forums here and there. The forums really aren't there. Forums used to be the thing. They used to be much better, the forum stuff. Obviously the forums are pretty much dead at this point. But there's podcasts out there, and one that you may not have heard of is the Bush League Breeders podcast. Because it has been defunct now for years. No one's been doing them for years now. But there's fantastic information. To go back and listen to it. It goes back really early in the ball game here. There is, like for example, Ozzy. Ozzy's a guy who gets interviewed nowadays because he's a fantastic breeder. But you can listen to an Ozzy breeder interview when Ozzy was doing good, but he wasn't the king yet. And there's all kinds of other people in there. And there are breeders in there who get interviewed in those podcasts who are no longer breeders, or some of them have actually passed away. Some just have moved out of the hobby into something else. But their information was still fantastic. It is still there. Another good one that has a lot of good interviews is the Ball Shit podcast with Sean Brady. Now, I warn you, Sean is not work friendly. Sean's hilarious. But he drops lots and lots of F-bombs. That's okay. So, one of the things I like about his stuff is he'll get someone on there and they'll have a topic and they're going to talk about the topic, but then they get way off topic and they go wandering around on their conversation. And you can pick up all kinds of stuff. They'll say, well, I do it like this and I do it like that and so on and so forth. And you can learn all kinds of stuff by reading between the lines of the interviews. That goes for most of those podcasts out there. There's lots of other podcasts, but those are two that you should go look at. But I'll call this Rule 1.5. Rule 1, knowledge. 1.5, mentor. Find yourself a mentor. It doesn't have to be your best friend. You call him every day. You text him every 5 minutes. Find somebody you can go ask the dumb questions of. And there's lots of people out there. My personal mentor, the guy I consider the person that I learned the most from, was Brian Gundy. I started, way back in the day, there were very few YouTube videos of it, but Brian was on YouTube, back to the dawn of YouTube, and then all of a sudden I realized that Brian was local, like 30 miles away from me, and so I called him up and went on over, and Brian is incredibly generous with his time and his knowledge, and he would literally give you the shirt off his back, and not every mentor is going to be like that, but you know what, you need a mentor, someone you can talk about. Because sometimes, you don't think of the questions you should ask. And just like with those podcasts, it's in the side conversations where you learn stuff. The other place for mentors is reptile shows. Use reptile shows as a knowledge base. So even if you're not there to vend, if you're not actually breeding and you don't have anything to sell, go to reptile shows and talk to everybody. Just talk to them all. And you probably will find someone you click with you can talk to. And reptile shows have been fantastic for that. So knowledge, 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 mentorship. That's number one. All right. Number two, you need to learn the husbandry of how to grow a hatchling all the way up to a breeder. Okay? So get yourself some hatchlings and start doing it. You can't learn this stuff unless you do it. All right. So I personally, my very first, I got like 2 het pieds. This was back in the day, and a full pied was too expensive. I got like 2 het pied females and a het pied male, and I started growing them up. And I made every mistake. Anything that you were going to do to screw up, I did that. I screwed everything up, just like everybody else does. I can remember having the male het pied ball python that was a baby. It was this big, and then having a rat over here that was this big, and wondering why the little snake's not eating this big frozen thawed rat. He's this big, and it should have been obvious, but it wasn't. It wasn't. I did that. And I'm sure some of you have done that too. So get the babies. You need to learn the husbandry of growing a baby up and everything that goes with that. Okay, and then, so that's rule number 2. So grow up a baby. Rule number 3. Oh my God. Trying to throw my little computer around. Sorry, buddy, made you jump. All right, rule number 3. Get yourself a breeder adult male and a female capable of getting you some eggs. Oh, I know, I just said get some babies grown. You need to learn both. You need to learn the husbandry of growing a hatchling up to an adult. And you need to learn the husbandry of taking a breeder female and a breeder male and putting them together and successfully mating them and getting eggs and getting babies and hatching them out and putting them in, your collection. You need to do that too, okay? And there are people who would argue that you should just grow the babies all the way up and learn it, That's going to take 3 years for a female, just minimally 3 years. And once you get to that 3 years, you haven't learned anything else. You just learned how to grow those babies up. That's fantastic knowledge, but there's more to it. So, and when I say breeder male and female, I honestly don't just mean they're of age, okay? So, a 3-year-old 1,500 pound, a 3-year-old 1,500 gram female, or a year and a half old 1,000 gram male. That's what I consider to be breeders. Yeah, all right, it can be 600 grams or 6 months old. You do a lot better by that. That's another piece of advice off the subject. You'll be much better with a breeder male who's a year and a half years old and 1,200 grams than you will with a 6-month-old 600 grammer. Anyways, I go off on tangents there. Anyways, get yourself a female, breeder female that has evidence that it actually laid eggs, okay? A lot of breeders will want to upgrade their genes, or they don't have the space to keep everything, so they'll sell off breeder females. And so get yourself a breeder female that has had eggs, and you have proof of it. And if you can get a breeder male where they can have proof of photo proof, for example, of them locking up with a female, I would go with that too. But you need that experience. And I'll just fast aside. When I did this, I got three het pied females who were 1,500 grams and 3 years old. And I bred them. I had a male at that point who could breed. But when I bred them that first year, I got 2 of those het pied females to go. The third one didn't go. Third one, by the way, didn't go for years. I mean, literally years. But those 3, none of those 3, of course, had any history of actually having eggs. I didn't think of that back then. But that's what I would do. So, 1, knowledge, and a mentor. 2, get some babies, grow the babies up. 3, get a breeder adult female and a breeder adult male. And you know what? You're gonna think, what genes should I have? For that one right there, I don't even care if it's normals. A normal female and a normal male, at the very least, you learn what you can learn about actually breeding, because that knowledge is invaluable to have in the first place. And you can watch all the videos and get all that knowledge I was talking about, but you can't beat hands-on. You just out and out can't beat hands-on. Just the way the snakes act, the way they look on a daily basis. You know, when the rhythm of the snake room, as some other people have called it. You know, once you're in that rhythm with your snakes, you learn so much. Okay? All right, so number 4. This fourth rule, right? So knowledge, 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 mentorship. Get some babies. Get some adults. 4, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. All right? There's a tendency, we all do it. You go and look at every photo on Morph Market, and you look at all the videos, and you're like, oh my God, I want this morph, and I want that morph, and I want this morph. But if I buy that morph, I can't buy that morph. And what happens is the morph over here, it crashes, or there's no money in it, and this one's going way up, and don't worry about it, okay? There's 2 things about the whole growing up animals. It takes 3 years for a female to legitimately get to a breeder age. You can argue about up or down on that one. With 3 years, your mind's going to change. It's going to change. Whatever you've gotten, your mind is going to change over 3 years. So don't worry about it, though. Even if you had 3 normals, if you had grown up 3 normals from a hatchling to an adult as a ready to breed, and you put a stranger to them, you're going to make strangers, and they're worth a lot of money right now. Okay. If you bought het pieds or pieds, you're still going to make pieds. You know, pieds have been around for 20 odd years. They still sell for, you know, $350, $450 for a good pied. You know, if making the money is part of it, you know, personally, I wanted pieds. I'm a pied freak. From day one, pieds was it. I didn't have to think about where I was going to go. I was going to go pieds. But I've seen so many people who've gone back and forth on what they want to get, and they get worried about it, and they'll buy something, and they want to, you know, grow it for a year, and then they want to sell it because they want to buy something else. And don't do that. Just pick something and go. You know, I made bongos last year with a het lab female I have. She was just there, and I needed to make some bongos, and I had this het lab, and she's basically a normal het lab. So I made bongos 50% het lab, but I wanted some bongos. She worked out, you know. It's okay. So knowledge, 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 mentor. Buy some babies, grow them up. Get an adult male, an adult female. Get them to breed. Learn how to do that. And number 4, don't overthink it. Pick something and go. All right? So that's sort of in a nutshell. And you can make entire videos about every one of those thought lines right there. But just in a nutshell, there you go. That's my how to get going, you know, collecting snakes or breeding snakes. And like I said, that will work for retics. That will work for tortoises. That will work for, you know, anything out there. Maybe not bowlins, because at the moment no one's really doing that with bowlins. But anything else, and have a good time. I mean, really, this is what the whole point of this is, to have a good time. Make something that if you think it's cool, someone else will think it's cool. So that's my advice. Any comments, questions? Put them down in the questions below. And remember to like my video if you don't mind. Please like my video. Like I said, I showed you a really cool snake. Yeah, look at that cool snake. I'll even tell you what I think this is. I think this is a pastel asphalt, though I don't know that for a fact at the moment. Look at that. Oh, that's cool. See? That's worth a like, right? All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. See ya.